Started, we'd like to welcome Lucas Glover into the interview room. He is coming off of wins the last 2 weeks on the PGA Tour, and he is making his 12th start at the BMW Championship. Lucas, congratulations once again on winning 2 in a row. If we can get your thoughts on that, and then also preparing for the BMW.
Yeah, thanks, John. Obviously a pretty fun couple of weeks, not to put it too lightly, but it's been a bit of a whirlwind as well, but happy to be here. First time at Olympia Fields, and been very impressed. Played the back yesterday afternoon, front this morning. Golf course is amazing, as advertised, and been a good week of prep so far.
And you're number 4 in the standings. Just talk a little bit now about the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, obviously.
Or the next 2 weeks, I should say.
So from the start of the Greensboro week to now, obviously a big jump. I'm excited about that, and excited to make it to here, and then make it to next week as well. It's been a few years since I've played at East Lake, so very excited.
All right, we'll go to questions. Let's go to Cameron.
Hey, Lucas. Congrats on your success. A couple questions. One, what are you reading these days? And 2, just was wondering how much you've felt your story resonating with people who may feel like they're just one thing away from maybe fully expressing their potential or whatnot. You've obviously found something and it's really clicking, and just was wondering sort of the fan reaction to all of that.
Yeah. For your first question, Mad Honey on my wife's recommendation. Hadn't started it yet, but I have it in the room probably this afternoon. Second question, yeah, I think it's just kind of a story of being stubborn the right way and persevering, and just one of those typical sports kind of comeback stories. Just head down, grind on, and keep at it and keep your goal in your sights. But gotten a lot of encouragement from the fans the last couple of weeks, and then the last couple of days here. So if it gives one person hope, then it makes me happy too.
Any comments from fellow players stand out, or comments from others stand out?
Nothing really stands out, but I think just a lot of guys that I'd played with the last several years that unfortunately had to witness some of my difficulties on the greens. They've, legitimately said they're happy for me, and that looks like I've kind of overcome it, which feels good. Matt Wallace at 3M, he just said, after we played the first 2 rounds together, he said, "Man, I don't know what you did or how you did it." He goes, "But," he said, "you look like a different person." And he said, "I know you didn't make anything this week, but it looks great." And then for somebody that's trying to beat my brains in to say that meant a lot. And Matt and I aren't even that close. We're acquaintances for the most part, but for somebody to say that I'm competing against was really cool and just good to hear.
All right, let's go to
And
Doug.
to say it on a week you missed the cut.
Well, yeah. I mean, which is fine with me. I putted nice. I didn't make anything and missed a cut by a shot. But just hearing that from somebody that saw firsthand my struggles a few years back, first time we played together, and but yeah, I mean, it was definitely not one of those where he was like pushing my buttons or anything. It was legitimate, like heartfelt compliment, and that's how I took it.
When's the last time you got a compliment from somebody?
Me? That was probably the last couple. So, no, I don't know. Probably 15 minutes ago, somebody told me I look nice today.
I'm talking about from Matt.
I thought you said me.
Previous Matt, when's the last time a player actually complimented you on something? Outside of your dress, obviously.
Well, I was joking. But I don't know. Good question.
My bad question was, what do you consider the greater perk that is an opportunity in front of you, winning the FedEx Cup or being on the Ryder Cup?
Potential perk. I'll say the Ryder Cup as a potential perk. That was a goal from the day I turned pro back in 2001, and we didn't have the FedEx Cup then, so I would probably have to say that.
All right, Bob.
Lucas, a lot of talk about your putting, obviously. I'm just curious, has it always been a foil? The difficulty in your game going all the way back to like the U.S. Open, and it was just better then, or did it creep in and start to just kind of progressively get worse? Like, was it back then even? Was it something that you had to overcome?
It wasn't. I'd always been a streaky putter, and when I putted well, I played well. When I putted poorly, I played okay. But the nervy, yippy stuff didn't start for 3 or 4 years after the U.S. Open. Did I make them all? No, but it wasn't because I was because of the yips. So it was always probably the weakest part of my game, but not to the extent that it has been the last 10 years, had been the last 10 years. A lot of experimentation, for sure, with a lot of things. Before this, the most success I had was with the up the arm, kind of arm lock that Kuchar kind of brought out. He does the opposite now, obviously, but yeah, I'd pretty much tried everything. If you could come up with it in your head, I probably did too, legitimately. And then if something didn't work, I'd just go back and grab a short one and say, I'll just out-practice this thing, and then I just couldn't do it.
Let's take two over here, far left, and then Deshaun.
Lucas, I'm sure throughout this recent stretch of yours, the past few months, your confidence has just been growing and growing. But I'm curious as to how it feels to get these 2 wins in kind of different circumstances. Sunday at the Wyndham, it felt like you were pretty in control of your ball from tee to green, whereas Sunday at St. Jude kind of had to rely on the scrambling a little bit more. On a tricky course like this for this week, how much more confidence do you have knowing that you can rely on all parts of your game, and if you need to rely on a certain aspect in particular more than the other on one day, how does it feel knowing you have all that going right now?
Yeah, sure. I said it last week at some point in Memphis that, Sunday in Wyndham felt easy. Not that winning's easy, but ball striking wise, it was just easy. Wherever I was looking, the ball kind of went. And then last week it was kind of the opposite. But and I think that's one of the reasons we practice our short game so much is because you're not always going to hit it where you're looking, and you need something to bail you out sometimes. So that being said, yeah, that was nice to kind of do it both ways, as you said. But as for a course like this, you got to have it all because you're going to miss some fairways. So you're going to have to, strategic and possibly chip out, wedge it close, or if you get up, a decent lie, probably not going to hit it on the green, so you'd be around the green, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, a good couple of weeks to get ready for a course like this for sure. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Sean right here.
You said when you turned pro, the Ryder Cup was one of the pinnacle goals for you. I'm curious, for someone who hasn't been in one, why is it the pinnacle for you? Why does it feel like it's number one priority?
I feel like representing your country as an athlete's the highest honor. I played Cannon Cup as a junior, played the Walker Cup as an amateur, and I just think it's the coolest thing, and especially being an individual sport, to be on a team, representing your country is, I think it's the highest honor we can have.
All right, let's go over here to Lisa and then to Cameron.
Hi, Lucas. Quick question. How do you combat the mental and physical exhaustion from the last 2 weeks? What's your mindset this week? And do you find it ironic that in your 40s you have all this experience to draw on mentally, but yet, not the body of a 20-year-old, 20-something that's out there able to maybe take this better, for lack of a better word?
Yeah. For the first part of your question, Monday was a blessing that the weather was so bad, so I just kind of laid around most of the day, which was needed, and a good party yesterday morning too, and just try to recover, hydrate and recover, and give myself the best chance to physically be prepared when tomorrow comes around. Mentally, I don't really know. I've been blessed with pretty decent health out here, and try to take care of myself as smartly as possible so my body doesn't break down. But there's always little nagging stuff. But I'm in a pretty good spot. Just rest as much as possible.
All right, let's take two back here on the back.
Lucas, sorry. You said you practiced through a bunch of putting issues and you sort of tried everything from a physical standpoint. Have you found any sort of mental strategies or, on-course mantras, whatever it might be, that can help you through those like more pressurized putts towards the end of a tournament, especially in these big events these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I alluded last couple of weeks to working with Jason Kuhn, who's a former SEAL, and he turned my mindset from kind of the typical, breathe through it and stay calm and all that, which is not possible in what I was dealing with. And he basically taught me how to more attack it and, wage war against it instead of letting it consume you. And been able to do a good job of that. And it's been, frankly, a different mantra almost every week. But regardless, it's more of an aggressive take on it instead of a fearful take on it.
All right, Cameron, and then Doug.
You mentioned that you've been stubborn in a good kind of way or the best kind of way, but not every late bloomer actually becomes a late bloomer. I mean, there's such a thing as a no bloomer. I was just wondering if you had to have had those doubts at some point, whether it's a score, a round, a tournament, or something that you kind of thought, geez, maybe this isn't going to happen. I'm assuming you had to have had that happen.
I can honestly say I'd never thought I wouldn't win again. I didn't think it would be 2 in a row. I didn't know if it'd be a FedEx event, but I never thought I wouldn't win again. And I've always said if it gets to that point, it is probably time to hang them up. But I just knew if I could figure this putting thing out that I'd be right back where I wanted to be.
Are you playing better now or the same as when you won the U.S. Open?
Differently. Probably more consistently as far as not as many up and down tournaments, more consistent. It's almost like miss a cut now is by a shot instead of 8. Not that I haven't done that too, but I just think I'm a smarter player now.
All right, we've got time for one more. We'll go to Doug here.
A couple things. Did you told that interesting story about the walk to the parking lot after the Open qualifier. As you look back, was that a critical point or a turning point, or both?
I think both. The critical part of it was what I said. Tom said to me was that this is, you missed it, but and he said, but it wasn't a yippee stroke. It was just a stroke, and you missed it. And he said it's going to be a learning process with this thing, and let's keep plugging. So I think I can fairly say both critical and a turning point. And then showed up in Canada with, coming off of 63 and whatever I shot the second round, just because I missed a 2-footer didn't take anything away from that. And then just kept working on it in Canada, and best finish in a few months or whatever it was, and then it just kept rolling from there.
There's been a lot of highlights on TV of that putt. Do you watch it?
Which one?
Of the qualifier.
I don't need to. I did it.
I just didn't know if you'd seen it.
No, I know exactly what it looks like.
Well, now we all do. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. They wouldn't show the 30-footer I made on 14 last week, would they? Yeah.
Your memories or recollections of, because you mentioned the Walker and the Cannon Cup. What about the President's Cup at Harding? What do you recall about that?
Yeah, I did Montreal and San Francisco. I relished the the team aspect of it. The first one in '07, I hadn't been up close that much with the best players at that point, and then by '09 I had, and I just enjoyed being around, and listening to them, and picking their brain, and trying to learn from them. And yeah, I remember first couple of holes, first match with Verplank, and obviously I was nervous, and I think we were playing Weir and VJ, and whether he was right or wrong, but he just kept repeating that, these guys can't beat us. No matter what we do, they can't beat us. And, they were probably significantly better than us on paper, but he just kept pumping us both up and pumping me up, and I remember that pretty distinctly. But I really enjoy the team room aspect of those type of events. Very. For me, anyway. I just thought he was hilarious. And that dude could get it done from many different ways, and it was always fun to watch.
All right, Lucas, we appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You can stay right there.
Just stay right here.
Yep.